So our arm wants to go back straight, and this creates a nice stretch in our pecs here, and that's going to help you bowl super fast.
So what you'll find is someone misaligns at the top, there's a chance they're misaligned at the bottom as well, and that's called a mixed action.
So you want to make sure that your knee and elbow just line up together like this.
So we encourage the bowlers to land on the front half of their foot or the ball of their foot without the heel impacting too hard.
We want to make sure that our front leg is straight, so we can transfer the energy from the bottom half of our action to the top half.
It's actually where the front foot points. So wherever your feet point is kind of where your energy is going. And there are some bowlers who have a front foot splay, which it rotates out. You can have all sorts of issues with ankles, knees, joints, etc.
We want to make sure our left foot is under our left hip, under our left shoulder.
We don't release above our front foot. We release over our bowling hip, which is the other side of our body.
It's really nice shoulder rotation that will ensure you bowl faster.
Cricket Love Stories with me, Neel Khagram. Today we're joined by Cath Dalton and Ian Pont. How are you both doing?
Well, we're all right. It's a bit chilly, but we're good.
Grateful for your time today. So you're going to both give a fast bowling masterclass. Before we get into it, Cath, do you want to we'll start with you. Do you want to just talk through your playing career and your time in the coaching world?
Yeah, sure. So I started my cricket, as everyone does, at a low level, club cricket level. Had to go along because my brother was playing. And then from there I progressed to county cricket and been very fortunate to play for two different countries. The England Academy, I opened the bowling in a T20 and an ODI, and then playing for Ireland, batting at 3 in a World Cup. So my cricket career has been decent enough. I've enjoyed every step of the journey, and that has really led me to be the cricket coach I am now. So I'm very fortunate that I've been able to travel the world so far, Pakistan, India, to coach cricket and fast bowling specifically, and hopefully the future is a bright one for me.
And then Ian, obviously you had your time playing in the county game.
I did.
In the coaching world, coach some of the best, Shoaib Akhtar, Dale Steyn, to name a couple. Yeah. But just want to focus on your academy. For young players perhaps watching this, how can they find out more about it, go a bit deeper?
Yeah, so we're here standing in the home of the National Fast Bowling Academy, nfbacricket.com is the website. People trial with us every August. We've currently got ongoing trials on video where people can send their videos in and we can assess them ahead of time. We have scholarships. We have 5 different levels of academy. We've got 163 fast bowlers. We've got boys and girls. We've got people from the age of 9 right up to the age of 27. We've got people on the verge of county cricket. We've got people who are kind of starting out in their careers. It's a really big, wide spectrum. And the idea of this whole concept of the National Fast Bowling Academy is to give people, like a People's Academy, give people an opportunity to get technical skills coaching. We've got 5 full-time coaches here. Andre Neel played for South Africa. He's one of our coaches as well. And we give probably the coaching that they're unlikely to get anywhere else. It's a great place to come. So that's why we're here.
There's a fantastic system. Links in the description below of this video. So whoever is watching this, please do check it out. But for now, Ian, Cath, can't wait to get into this. The fast bowling masterclass. Let's go.
So what we thought we'd do is talk about some of the common mistakes that bowlers make and how to rectify them. And as we know with the 4 tent pegs, the 4 positions of the bowling action, back foot impact, front foot impact, ball release and follow through. We're going to start off with tent peg 1, which is landing in the crease, and some of the common problems that people have. Cath's just going to do a quick demo of this.
So as a fast bowler, you don't want to, right arm fast bowler, load up underneath this side of your body. What this does is as you pull back to bowl, your hand will go towards the umpire. And as fast bowlers, we want to create a stretch in the middle of our action, like a catapult, bang, like that. So our arm wants to go back straight, and this creates a nice stretch in our pecs here, and that's going to help you bowl super fast. If your hand is underneath your armpit here, as you go to bowl, it comes out towards the umpire. It's not going to create that same stretch, so you won't bowl as quickly. From this position also, if I now go towards my upswing into my release point, I'm going to have lateral flexion, which in other words means I'm going to fall off my bowling action and that's going to cause problems for my back as well. So as a fast bowler, you want to make sure your bowling hand is underneath your bowling shoulder when you load up, and then that will create a big stretch at the back, which will allow you to pull through onto release point. And as you can see, I'm perfectly lined up.
So aligned with that position, the incorrect position with the hand under the armpit, we've also then got where the elbow and knee don't line up with each other in tent peg 1, and normally these two are related. So what you'll find is someone misaligns at the top, there's a chance they're misaligned at the bottom as well, and that's called a mixed action. So again, we're going to just get Kath to do that for us and show us exactly how that works.
So we have 3 different bowling positions, typically. Sometimes people are between. So we have sideways, semi-midway and front on. And some bowlers do land past, but as Ian was saying, we want to make sure whatever type of bowler you are, you're aligned correctly in back foot impact, which is tent peg 1. Some bowlers, and this is a common thing to happen, if I'm a sideways bowler, my hips and shoulders should be facing this way, my knee and elbow should come together like this. Mixed bowling action is when this knee and elbow don't line up together. And what happens is there's a gap here. And this causes twisting of your back. And this is where some back injuries can come from. So if you're bowling and you have this position in your bowling action, your knee and elbow aren't lined up, the quick fix is not to change your back foot position. Some players do this, and that's just crazy. You don't want to dig up the foundations of your house. You want to keep those in place. So this is important to stay the same. Whatever back foot position you have, work with it. It's what you are. It's your style. That's how you bowl. So you want to make sure that your knee and elbow just line up together like this.
Another big thing that bowlers do when they jump from their jump into their action is when they land too hard, too heavy, too stiff on the back foot. And it might be that they've heard coaches talk about, standing up and bowling tall and nice and strong on the back leg. That isn't actually the case, because the back leg is designed to bend. We've got the knee, which is a hinge joint, and it bends, and we want that to bend. Some people confuse that with collapsing. It's not collapsing, but it's what's called a soft step. So if you run into bowl and land hard and heavy, even maybe heel first, where your heel hits the ground, that is going to be what's known as a decelerator. But you don't want to decelerate on your back foot impact. You want to decelerate on your front foot impact, which is tent peg 2. So this tent peg, the landing of the tent peg should be nice and soft, because we want to continue the momentum through into the front leg. So we encourage the bowlers to land on the front half of their foot or the ball of their foot without the heel impacting too hard. You can land with a flat foot, but we don't want to stop at this point. We don't want to hit the ground hard so that we stop the base and basically end up with our energy not going forwards at all. We want to continue that soft, smooth movement into the front foot block. So when we move from the back foot landing, we then go into front foot impact, which is tent peg 2. This is halfway through your bowling action. And what we're trying to create, as any coach will tell you, is a stable base. But there's a way of creating that stable base. And the way of creating that stable base is to try and keep your front leg straight if possible. Technically, it doesn't have to be dead straight. You can have a slight bend in it, but we want to hold the non-bowling side of your body. So think about when your front foot lands, which is your left foot if you're a right arm bowler, your right foot if you're a left arm bowler. Think of that as the base of a door frame, and the door frame is going to hold in place, and you're going to shut the door against it. So you want that door frame to be strong, and that starts from the floor upwards. We always focus on how the front foot and the front leg land, and ideally we want that front leg to be straight if possible. So we're just going to talk a little bit about what that looks like if you don't do it, and how to correct it if you can.
As Ian said, one of the common errors is bending your front leg as a fast bowler. What this does is it absorbs your energy. So if you think about it, if you're jumping and you jump with bent legs, that absorbs the energy. If you keep your legs straight, the energy transfers. And even just in that small move, you can see my head shakes because the energy travels up my body. It's the same principle for fast bowling. We want to make sure that our front leg is straight, so we can transfer the energy from the bottom half of our action to the top half. So it creates this, like slamming against a brick wall with your base, and your top half comes over the top of it. And that will make you bowl so much faster. So one of the errors that people make into tent peg 2 is bending this front leg here. And that's absorbing all your energy, and you're not gonna bowl as fast as you could. So the correction would be to keep that locked out and straight, then you can drive your action against it. As Ian said, shutting the door frame, that feeling, this is a strong position to be in as a fast bowler.
So there's one other thing I wanted to just add in about a straight front leg. People mistakenly say you keep your front leg because you want to bowl taller. That isn't the case. The leg is angled back ideally at a 45-degree angle. If you were going to put it straight and dead upright, I'd agree, but from a fast bowling point of view, we want to bowl against the front leg, not over it. Spinners bowl over their front leg. Fast bowlers bowl against their front leg. As Kath said in her explanation, you bowl against it, and that means you transfer the energy into the top. We want to get that angle back 45 degrees if possible, so the top can go against it. It makes a V shape, which is called a V-shaped power blast, and that's what we want to get in a bowling action. So another big problem people have when they land their front foot is actually where the front foot points. So wherever your feet point is kind of where your energy is going. And there are some bowlers who have a front foot splay, which it rotates out. You can have all sorts of issues with ankles, knees, joints, etc. The key to that is making sure that lines up properly. And there's a way of doing that, and it's just literally practicing it. So we're just going to get Kath to show what that looks like when it's done well, but also what happens when it sometimes goes wrong.
A common error for fast bowling, as Ian said, is where your front foot points. Our feet are like the tyres of our car. We want to point them in the direction that we're going as fast bowlers because we're moving at speed through the crease. We don't want things going out of line. We want to work in straight lines. So if your front foot, we call it splayed front foot, points towards first, second slip, that's not a good position to be in. Firstly, because as I said, our feet are like the tyres of our car. We'll start to move in that direction as fast bowlers when clearly we want to bowl to target and straight. Secondly, this is not very good for your ankle. You're going to have ankle injuries, ankle problems. And from this position, it's quite unstable. So your front foot sometimes would roll in this position and it'd be very uncomfortable. So if you have this problem and you splay your front foot when you bowl, the best thing to do is to keep it locked out here and straight towards the target. So your laces are pointing straight down the pitch, and that will allow you as a fast bowler to move in straighter lines to where you want to bowl.
So with the front foot landing, we also want to make sure that when we line our base up, that we're talking about lining it up on skis, not on a tightrope, or worse than that, where the front foot shuts off, and it's called closing off or shutting off your front foot. A lot of bowlers do that. In fact, most bowlers that I see have that issue where they step across their action. What that does, it misaligns them into the leg side completely, and also worse than that, can create some issues with lower lumbar, L3, L4, L5, because all the energy is being twisted at the wrong time. So again, we'll just get Kath to demo what it looks like when it's wrong, and then potentially how to put that right.
Crossing your feet off is one of the very common things that a fast bowler does, and it can cause some serious back problems like stress fractures or just general back pain. As a fast bowler, you want to eliminate anything that could be injurious or causes harm to you. So you want to make sure that your feet don't cross over with each other, but they land in the correct place. So as a right arm bowler, if I'm crossing my feet off, which I don't want to do, that means that this left foot is going across my body here. As you can see from that position, I'm lined up in the completely wrong direction. I'm going towards fine leg, but I'm actually trying to bowl straight towards off stump. So my feet are in the wrong place here. From this position, lots of bowlers then lean because they come round themselves here with this hip, and then they lean, and that causes lateral flexion and problems in your lower back here. So we don't want that at all. We want to make sure we're lined up. So as we stand as human beings, my left foot is under my left hip, under my left shoulder, and that's where we want to land it when we're bowling in the crease. So into front foot impact, or as we call it, tent peg 2, we want to make sure our left foot is under our left hip, under our left shoulder. And I can stand here all day. I'm in a really stable position and I'm going to be okay. My back isn't going in the wrong direction. It's actually going towards the target, and I'll have less back injuries than if I cross my feet over. Another issue with crossing your feet over is where that front foot now points. As I said in a previous clip, you want to make sure that your feet are going in the direction that you're going to bowl. They're the tyres of your car. You want to go in the right direction when you're bowling fast, so all your speed and energy goes towards the target. If you cross your feet over, you can see here, my foot is now also, the laces and my toes are pointing towards fine leg, even square leg. And that is in the completely wrong direction. And that could cause ankle issues, knee problems, all sorts of issues in your bowling action. So you want to make sure that along with your foot being in this place, when you do bowl, under your left hip, under your left shoulder, as a right arm bowler, as a left arm bowler, under your right hip, under your right shoulder, and also where your foot is pointing is vital.
So 10 peg 3 is a release of a cricket ball, and this is when you're moving at your fastest. It is what we call the money shot. This is where you want everything lined up to target. As we're standing as human beings, we want our hips, nose, chest, feet, everything pointing to release. But what you find is that often the bowlers, when they release a cricket ball, instead of releasing from the same side they're bowling, they release over the non-bowling side. And we see sometimes on television, the commentators, they draw a line in from the front leg and they say, oh, the bowler's releasing right above their front foot. That's not what we want. We don't release above our front foot. We release over our bowling hip, which is the other side of our body. So we're just going to show what that looks like for it to be incorrect, and then we're going to show exactly what it should be right if you're getting it correct and you want to be the best version of you, the fastest, most accurate version possible, by releasing over the right hip instead of the wrong one.
Releasing over the wrong hip is when this happens, and this causes lateral flexion in your bowling action and this kind of lean away in your action, which you don't want. Firstly, it's not good for your back. Secondly, it's not very good for your alignment towards your target. And alignment basically means moving in straight lines towards where you want to bowl. To be the quickest version of yourself, you want to make sure you're aligned. The quickest way to get between 2 points is a straight line. That's speed, that's accuracy. So if you're leaning away in your bowling action into release, into 10 peg 3, that's going to cause a lot of problems. So this lean away is not good. We want to make sure that our bowling hand is over our bowling hip so that we are perfectly aligned to target in this position and not in this one. Another thing with making sure that your release point is correct, it allows you to create that V-shaped power blast we spoke about for speed. If you think rugby, though some of you might not watch rugby, a scrum in rugby is done from a low position because that's powerful. Same for if you're sprinting. If you're sprinting, you tag your friend, let's have a race. You don't stand really tall, you stand low because speed comes from that low position. So another thing it does is it allows you to create that V-shaped power blast for pace, and you want to have that in your bowling action. You don't want to stand up tall like this, you want to have a powerful base to bowl from, and it's a low position, not a high position.
When we get to the finish of the bowling action, what we call 10 peg 4, this is a consequence of the first 3 10 pegs. I mean, you can't create 10 peg 4 out of thin air, it's a consequence. And the ball has technically left your hand. So how you finish the action is indicative of how your action was in the 3 10 pegs before, if that makes sense. But the 2 common errors that we see, the first one is not completing the bowling action, not getting a full shoulder rotation in, which means you haven't taken the energy out through the back of the ball. And the second one is with the base, that's from hips to floor, stepping back in towards the stumps, or almost running down the pitch, stepping inside. That comes because you haven't driven the bowling side through correctly, up and out. So let's just explain what both of those look like and how to correct them.
Shoulder rotation is one of the ways of bowling quicker. So in the finish of our bowling action, it's really important that we make sure our shoulders are working in the way we want them to. If you think of a car wheel spinning, that rotational energy is something you can get in your bowling action straight away. So by just finishing your bowling action off properly, you can bowl a bit faster. One of the common key things that people do wrong in this position is when they get to the finish of their bowling action, they end up swimming with this arm. We call it swimming. It's like when their hand comes back over. And that's not a very powerful position. That doesn't mean you've used your shoulders correctly in shoulder rotation. So in the correct position, we'd make sure that our hand is locked out the top, like we're pointing to the sky, and this hand comes right underneath our armpit, and that creates this really nice shoulder rotation that will ensure you bowl faster. Another common key thing that people don't do correctly is they step inside after they've bowled. So when they finish their bowling action, instead of driving this knee out, up and straight towards the target, in alignment, in a powerful position, they end up stepping inside where the umpire actually is standing, and this means that your energy's just gone in the wrong direction. As we said before, run up straight, go through the crease line straight, follow through straight, which is this part. You're going to be bowling straighter and more accurately, which is what we want. So you want to make sure that this knee does not go inside. You don't step inside and across yourself when you finish your action, but instead you actually drive out straight towards target, and you'll be much more powerful with that shoulder rotation and that knee drive out, and you'll bowl a lot faster.
I think what this is showing is how important bowling technique is. Most coaches would understand that we teach, or we should be teaching, the technique of batting. Batting's always under focus, isn't it? With someone's got a poor technique, they can't bat in Test cricket or whatever it is, and we then start to look at how they do stuff. But there's a difference here between style and structure. The structure is literally how you do it. The technical part of it, that's the structure. And that's common to all of us. The style is what it looks like when you do it. So someone's style of bowling will look different to someone else's style of bowling, but they might have the technical part in place. This is why we need to focus in and drive in on the technical aspect of it. It is a complicated subject. It's an area that's full of mystery, but if you can assess and work out the positions you're in, you can help yourself to be a better bowler. At the end of the day, this is all about what you do between the white lines. The outcome at the batter's end is the outcome, but you can control the outcome by controlling what you do in the crease. And the better you are in the crease, the better fast bowler you'll be. But it's worth the journey. Wish you well.